Hey everyone,
Hey everyone, how are we all
how's it
doing?
going? We're so used to it. I mean, we're saying the same words in unison.
I
How are you,
know,
Chris?
I know. I'm fine. Tech issues, left, right, and centre. Oh, and now one of the dogs has started digging in their crate. I swear to goodness, man. See this night,
Is that what
this
they're
just
doing?
isn't
Digging? It
happening
sounds
at
like
all.
little paws on like a laminate floor or something.
Yeah, that's essentially what their crate's got like a plastic base to it. Um, they've got they've got beds and quilts and all sorts in there as well. By the way, they're not just lying on plastic, just in case anyone thinks I'm cruel. But yeah, like she's kind of a clawing at the plastic base. Um, yeah, how are you, Simon?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just flame was catching my eye then. That seems like a really, like, when a candle kind of dies and it just becomes like a mess in the bottom of the bowl. I was like, that's catching my eye
Yeah,
like it's a huge flame. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm fine. Busy, busy at work and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'm doing all right. So a little bit late, only by 5 minutes or so, because we're just trying to sort out. As you can see, Chris is in portrait mode from his
yeah,
from his Instagram live a couple of nights ago, and
yeah,
for some reason can't get it back to. But at the bottom, because when you're hosting, you see like they call it the backstage, don't they? So you can see people like before Chris comes in, he appears at the bottom, and you let them into the room, so they're there backstage. Perfect. He fills the landscape there, but on the bit that you're seeing. But it's no biggie. I
yeah.
don't think it's not going to ruin anything. So
No, no, I can still do everything that I need to do for the purpose of this live, which is fine. It's just a bit irritating for me because I don't like to be stumped with an issue. I like to be able to sort an issue out. Um, but it's my own fault for leaving it to the last minute to discover that the issue even existed.
well, it's just like me last month, leaving it to the last minute to realise I couldn't find a deck. It's just one of those things,
Yeah,
isn't it? But let's say some hellos. So first one in was the lovely Golden, um, and Naomi. It's lovely to see you, Naomi. How are you doing?
hey
We've got
Naomi.
Barbara and Madame Maru, which is Marita.
Yeah,
Um, and we've got Ramon as well. Hi, Ramon. Nice to see you. We've got Green Eyed Taro, and we also have Javi. So, yeah, nice to see all of you guys here. I suppose really
Care
now I need
Bear
to
and
open this
Kim from
template.
Abundant Life Tarot as well, by the way.
Kim, hello, nice to see you.
Hey Kim
Um,
and Care Bear.
yeah, so I'm about to head into a reading and hop back with you, John. Well, enjoy your reading, Kim. So, yeah, so here we are. So this is the throwback that we was planning on doing last month, but
Yeah.
I couldn't find the deck. So at the last minute we swapped it for the Marseille weight, didn't we? Um,
Yeah.
and did that one instead because there's a few decks that Chris and I have both got that we enjoy and we've kind of put together. I think initially we came up with 6, didn't we? And then when we
Yeah.
exhausted that, we've thought of a few more. So, but since the last throwback, I've had a bit of a sort out of the old shelves behind and put about 200 decks into the back room. And I found it. So I was straight on the glide to Chris saying, I found it. I knew I'd still got it, then you start thinking, did I give it away? But I knew I hadn't. I was convinced I hadn't, so it was nice to find it. Oh, we've got Tarot Magician as well. Nice to see you. And Jumping
Hi
Spider.
Renee.
Um,
Hi
yeah.
Jumping Spider.
Oh, Madame Maru is Marita. Yeah, it is, Ramon. So that happens. I got a message from somebody the other day that said, I've been watching you since you had a different channel name. I can't remember what it is. That was a long time ago.
It was. When was it you changed to the Hermit's Cave, Simon?
Um,
2018 or something?
I think it was January or February of 2018. Yeah, so 6
Oh,
years
wow.
ago since I
Right.
became the Hermit's Cave. So yeah,
Okay.
I just met Kelly Bear in London, and I met her beginning of Feb. It was about the week after, I think. So yeah, so February of 2018. It's
Oh, wow.
my 7 year channel anniversary next month.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Seven's a lucky number. You going to do
Yeah,
something for it?
I ought to. I don't know what yet. I've not really given it much thought, and it's not till the end of March. Um, so, but I will have a think about it. It's nice. It'll be nice to do something. 7 years have flown by, really has. So,
I'm going to speak to Elle. I'm pretty sure that they can come up with some kind of a 7 years of this twat type video. Do you know what I mean?
yes, as long as they don't show the video that was taken during lockdown.
What one's
On
that?
the,
The one where you're in your pants?
no, oh no, no, no. I think that was destroyed. That was taken down and destroyed when I went live by accident. No, this was I was in Becca's live, gliding L because it was lockdown and it was like because Becca used to go live on a Friday night. It was Friday night of lockdown. I had a bottle of wine and I was a little bit squiffy. And as I'd got one of those, those little stoppers you put in your bottle of wine to keep it kind of fresh. And as I'm
Okay.
talking to her, I do this and the stopper flies out.
Oh, I've got
But
one
the
of those
way,
and it's a big unicorn.
oh, have you? Mine's a
Yeah.
fancy metal thing, but it's too heavy and it just flies out everywhere. But the way they edited it makes it look much worse than what it was. So, but anyway,
Oh, funny.
yes, 7 year celebration. Yeah, I probably will do something. Yeah, so Throwback Thursday. Um,
Yeah.
so most people I would have thought know who we are, but if you're the first time here or you're watching this back at a later date, which happens, for throwbacks, because very often I'll get a random comment on an old throwback saying, "Oh, I watched this because I was thinking of buying the deck." So, um, my name is Simon, as you can see here. My channel is The Hermit's Cave, and Chris.
My name's Chris. Pronouns are he and him, and my channel name is Elemental Guard Fancy.
Cool. And how have you been? How have you had a channel now? Talking of anniversaries,
3.5 years, three and a
three and a
bit
half
years.
years.
Yeah,
Wow.
it'll be 4 years in August.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was 2020 towards the end of lockdown, wasn't it? When you
Yeah,
started your channel. Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
So, Throwback Thursday is a monthly live broadcast where Chris and I join forces. We go live on each of our channel. It's not simul stream; it's simul streaming or whatever they call it, is it? Because we do it a little bit differently. But basically, we're both going live on our own channel, so we're broadcasting through Hermit's Cave and Elemental Cartomancy.
Yeah.
We choose a deck that our rule is it's got to be older than 3 years, I think we said, didn't we, for it to be kind of like a throwback. And the deck that we're doing this month is the New Era Element, which is 6 years old this year. It came out in 2018. And yeah, as I said earlier, it was the one we was going to do last month, but I couldn't find it. So here we are doing it now. So have you had it the
Yeah.
whole 2018, the whole 6 years?
No, so I got this deck in 2020, the start of 2020. So it's coming up for 4 years that I've had it. Um, yeah, I love it though. I've always loved it, and I think this might be the deck that I've gifted the most.
Is
I've
it?
gifted this deck to a few people. Yeah. Um, I know I've gifted it to Justin and Masha, and
Okay.
potentially other folks as well. I can't remember, but it is a deck that I do like because it's one of those decks that the creator doesn't have a wide range of work. As far as the mass market is concerned, that is just this deck that they've created that
Mm.
I'm aware of anyway. Um, it's not one of those decks that's really everybody knows about and everybody's raving about. It's quite a wee niche type deck, I think. So yeah, it's one of the ones that I like to kind of put out there, and yeah, it's one of the ones that I often find that people don't have. So I think that's why I like to gift it.
I think this throwback as well will be probably the one where we probably differ the most, I think. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I've got a love-hate relationship with the deck. In some ways, I think it's really cool, and when I first got it, I thought, um, it blew my mind. I love the contemporary nature of it. I love the fact that it was from a world viewpoint. I love that it was in like a sepia tone deck because at the time there wasn't many. Probably the Hermetic Tower is one that kind of springs to mind, which was a black and white deck. And it felt really fresh and new and modern. But there's quite a few things about it, namely like keywords, um, and some of the images that just I struggle with it. And if you haven't seen the notes on this video, it does say in the notes that some of the images that we'll be discussing as well, and obviously showing tonight, could be quite triggering because there's some very in your face images that are quite. Um, the first time I saw them, I was kind of like, oh wow, particularly around animals and um, animal cruelty, animal suffering,
yeah,
which is it's designed to get that reaction really. It's not glorifying animal cruelty, it's to provoke a sort of sense of injustice and anger at things. So I would say the deck can be quite confronting. But I think it's important. Chris and I spoke about this the other night, that we say right at the beginning, really, before we show any images, that some images could be quite difficult to view.
yeah. I agree. I think my view is that the tarot should be confronting. Some of the images that they're designed that way for a reason. Um, that personally, anyway, I don't want that to sound like I'm saying like everyone should just get over the fact that it's confronting. I don't mean that. Like everyone take there's a deck for everybody, and I'm not trying to tell anyone how their deck should be or anything like that. I mean, personally, for me, I think I work well with a deck that is confronting, that does have confronting images. I don't particularly veer towards decks that are kind of a all one way or all the other. Um,
Yeah,
to me, there needs to be light and dark, and a deck with powerful images like this that do make me go, oh, Jesus, do you know what I mean? Like make me look and think like that. That's an emotional reaction in me, and that's part of the reading.
yeah.
So
And when I've seen
yeah,
other people's walkthroughs of this deck, I've been fascinated by because when it was released, it was quite controversial. Sometimes for the scenes it's depicting or the people that are depicted in it, as well as the miners are the elements, aren't they? So it's water, air, rather than cup swords, and they use kind of animals that are associated with those elements. So of course, like with any sort of animal deck that you get, some of the more challenging cards, like Ten of Swords, very often people will look at those images if it's depicting animals and really sort of uh, find that disturbing. Um, but I'm not quite sure how you get that message across of those particular cards if you've chosen to use animals to depict um, that archetype, that message. So
yeah. Yeah. Shall I press on with some of the more admin information about the deck?
Yeah, if you want to do production.
Yeah. So it's created by Dr. Eleanor Piper. Published in 2018 at first by US Games. So this is a US Games deck, and we see that in the the production quality and the box, the card stock, about etc. The box, two-part box, nice, sturdy, keeps the cards safe, does the job. The book is what I would usually call a medium weight book. It's not quite just a wee pamphlet, but it is the size, made to fit in the box with the deck. I have to say, in terms of the book, I think the information is really good. I think that she kind of does a good job of describing her images and also
Mhm.
telling us, right, what does that mean, Um, and I also like how she explains the astrological correspondences. I know that they're not for everyone, and Simon, I don't think you particularly use astrological correspondences, do you? Um,
No,
in all honesty, it's not something that I would use unless it was there in your face, unless it was blatantly there, except for reading timing. But yeah, I like that she kind of goes into the astrological correspondences, and they're all demonstrated on the cards. Um, Card stocks sturdy, kind of a standard US games, except to say that the size is smaller
yeah,
than your typical. So if I do this, I should be able to show you. So you can kind of see there, it's a bit shorter and a bit, you know, um, thinner than your
yeah,
standard US Games tarot size. Now, what that means is that with the US Games sturdier cardstock, it's actually a lot less malleable. It's a lot less kind of easily manipulated. It's harder to riffle shuffle. Now, I've like I just said, I've had my deck nearly 4 years, so mine's is kind of I mean a bit battered. mine's is I've got mine to a place where I can riffle shuffle it, but I know that if this was brand new out the box, it would be kind of a get to the point where it's hurting my hands. So if you're a riffle shuffler, be aware of that. That may well actually, influence whether you want to get this. But it's a sturdy cardstock, it keep it keeps well.
I was just looking to see if, 'cause I would say it's kind of like low Scarabeo size, but I was looking to see if I'd got a low Scarabeo deck to hand,
Mm.
but I don't know if I have. Oh, I have.
I've got one.
Well,
Have you got it?
there's this one. Yeah, I've got the vintage. Um, so you can see it's just a little bit shorter on the top, but yeah, but the same sort of width and everything.
Yeah.
It's certainly a little bit bigger than a Fornia, but I would say low Scarabeo type size because tend to be a little bit smaller than NPC and US games, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. Hi, by the way, to Kendra and to Heather and to Cheryl.
Cheryl, hi Cheryl, and everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Okay. So I've already kind of said that I've had the deck almost 4 years. I don't. Was there anything else I wanted to say about the rest of the stuff? The only other thing to say about the book, sorry, is that it has not only good information on the cards, but there's a good wee bit of info on just the deck in general, the creator. And there's a tarot spread, an elemental tarot spread that's kind of been made up to fit the deck, which is always quite good when you get that with a deck.
yeah.
Um, how do you work with the deck, Simon? Do you use it for particular types of readings?
So to be fair and totally honest, I haven't used it for a long time. I used it a lot when I first got it back in 2018 and into 2019. Um, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but I and this is a kind of a hybrid deck between RWS and Crowley's influence, but it doesn't profess to be a Toth deck or an RWS deck. It's influenced by both lineages really. But I think it's trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people. I get that it's got representation from lots of different cultures around the world, and I like that, and I appreciate that. And I think the courts are done fantastically well in their kind of groupings, and they do it as mother, father, son, daughter. So it's like the family unit, which I read WTF is Tarot by Bakra Whitner around the same time, and that's when the courts really sort of fell into place for me reading that book, because they talk about it as like a family unit, and if you imagine, each person playing a part within the family linked to the element it's representing. But the fact that it's the majors are scenes and humans, some that we know, like the Dalai Lama and the creator herself. But then you was talking about the associations of star sign, but also planetary zodiac and also elements. So it might be like that, the Fool is air, but the next card is representing Mercury. It tries to do a lot of things, and I found it a little bit jarring, but in the most part, I think it was because it's part animal deck, part human, part different cultures, and then coupled with the keywords on each minor card. I just thought, I did a run with using it, but then it was time to put it on the shelf, and I've not really used it a lot since. Obviously, because that's why I couldn't find it last month, because it was buried right at the back somewhere. So it's not a deck that I've used consistently over the years, but it did have a lot of use in the early days. Have you used it consistently over the 4 years?
Not consistently over the 4 years, no. I mean, I would have to honestly say that there's probably very few decks that I've used consistently over that period of time, Um, I, I hear what you're saying about all that stuff. The way that I look at this deck, and it's not strictly an RWS and it's not strictly a Thoth. I think what's probably maybe a more accurate and fair way of saying it is it's more a Golden Dawn.
Yeah,
It takes from the Golden Dawn system, which is where
both of
both
them are.
RWS and Thoth have come from. So the keywords that both Crowley and this deck uses, they come from the Golden Dawn. The astrological correspondences that both Crowley and this deck use come from the Golden Dawn. So I think for me, this deck almost felt a bit more Thoth than RWS. That's because of the Golden Dawn influence that we see, because of certain cards like the Seven of Pentacles is the one that always springs to mind. In the Golden Dawn system, that's the Lord of Failure. That's a card about failure, or about like kind of when you put all your energy into trying to do something and you get very little out of it. So it's failure in a respect. And to be honest, I think that that's probably what Pixie was trying to depict, but we see it so differently these days. We don't really see the Seven of Pentacles as a card about failure. It's like a return on investment, or a waiting for the right time type card. I'm going off on a tangent though. And in terms of like the the scenes, about what she's depicting, I think she's just generally, because for anyone who's interested, Eleanor Piper has done a live with the folks from Spread This Witches years and years ago. It's an old video, but check it out. It's really, really good. She talks about this deck, and she also talks about another deck that she's done. But I think essentially she's just generally tried to represent the world, the modern world as it is. Hence the name, the New Era Elements Tarot. It's not like she's tried to take all, to make it animals and people and this and that and that. The next thing, she's basically just generally tried to represent the world as it is in this deck. And so for me, I see it that way. I don't see it as she's trying to take from lots and lots of different things. Although, obviously, if you're trying to pick the whole wide world in a deck, then naturally you're going to do that, aren't you? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I don't quite get the overwhelm in the same way, but I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't probably use the word overwhelm. It's just, I don't know. I think I am very, very tunnel visioned. I think I know now that the types of uh, decks that I like to work with. I love collecting decks because I love to see what people come up with and what they create and what their vision is and their take on the tarot. But when it comes to reading cards, I tend to be quite narrow in the decks that I use for both readings for myself or with others.
Mm.
And I just got to the point where I was like, yeah, this isn't really doing it for me now. Although there are cards in this that I love, which is one of the things that we do on Throwback is go through the cards that we really, really like. It wasn't enough to make me work with it longer term. And I just know I wouldn't use this deck to read for other people because some of the cards I would be worried that if they come up, people would have a reaction to it. Because I've watched so many walkthroughs of this deck where people haven't been prepared for it and they'll turn a card over and they'll go, "Oh wow, oh that's just awful. Oh, I wish I'd have seen that. Oh, if I'd have seen that card, I wouldn't have bought it." That sort of thing. And I often think if I was reading for somebody and certain cards came up, then there's that responsibility on you as a reader, isn't there, for that person as well. Although you could argue that I think that's also telling about, well, why are we having that reaction? Where is that coming from? And is it an anger that calls you to action? Because the Buddhist part of me and the life states for every sort of life state you find yourself in has a positive and a negative. So even something like anger can have a really positive energy to it if channeled towards a good cause, because we don't
Yeah.
take action sometimes against injustice, for example, unless we're angered by it. So again, some of the images that you see, we have to, and I talked about this when we spoke about Deviant Moon, when we did that throwback a couple of months ago, that actually if people are disturbed by the images, then I think it's quite important you sit with that and think, well, what is it about that image that I find quite disturbing? And once you know what it is, then it's the why am I disturbed by it?
Mm.
And then we really get to do that internal work, don't we? And then Adam Bluefire says, New Era Elements Tarot is one of my favorite mass market decks. It's a real trailblazer. Controversial, bold, brave, one tough cookie. I think those words are pretty good way of
Yeah.
describing it,
Sums it up
actually.
quite well, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things we do ask as well is if you have this deck, I noticed Susan's in the chat. Oh, hello, Susan. It's lovely to see you on Crow Quill Tarot. She says, I really appreciate the courts in this deck. If you do have this deck, do join in. Let us know if you like working with it. If you don't like working with it, it's, we'll share your views as well, or some of the cards that you enjoy, some of the cards that you perhaps find confronting, etc.
Yeah. So I used this deck live on Monday when I was on Instagram I was just doing some readings. And I have to say, like, it really hit me how restrictive keywords can be. Um, it's hard to find a way around a keyword, especially a very strong and a word like failure on a card or cruelty or whatever it is. It's very hard to then see that in a different way, in a positive way. Um, when that's such a negative, such a negative
Yeah,
word. Um, so it's a struggle. It's a struggle to read, just kind of a generally read with this deck anyway because of the keywords. I think, like I'd said, I do quite like to use. I've used it for timing readings, and for me, a timing reading is, we can take a particular subject such as your career, and we can look at, right, in the next year, where do we see shifts in that, and what kind of a stuff do you need to do to achieve those shifts, to achieve those changes. And the time comes from the astrological correspondences. So each of the astrological correspondences in the minors 2 through 10 represents a decan, which is like a third of a month, essentially. It's like a week or just over a week. So I use it for that, and I think it works really well for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, difficult
I think,
to just use in a normal way, I think.
and I think you're absolutely right, because people who read with pips and they talk about the freedom of pip cards will often say, having a scenic minor card limits them. But then when you've got a scenic card and then you have a word, that is
Yeah,
even more limiting and more narrow, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, totally get, and I think that was again one of the reasons why I was like, uh, so, um, but I'm glad I've got it, and I don't think I'd ever part with it because, um, it's as people are saying, it's a great deck. Susan has said, I like much of the deck, and I use it specifically for myself asking about family members. And then Adam says the keywords in this deck definitely go straight to the heart of the matter. I don't usually like keywords, but in this deck, I feel they enhance the power of the card. Fair point. Yeah. And Care Bear said Deviant Moon is great for shadow work. Definitely not a deck for everyone. Yeah, and I think this is the same. I don't think it's a deck for
That's it.
everybody. But yeah, did you show the backs when you were talking about production?
Oh no, I didn't, did I? Sorry.
I couldn't remember if you had or not. But
There we go.
yeah,
So
so
we
it's the
basically see
elements, isn't
4
it?
elements, yeah. Quite nice packs, I think.
Yeah, yeah, they are. Obviously not reversible, I should say. Reversal.
No, they're not. They aren't. Um,
So when we're talking about our favourite decks, Chris messaged me a couple of hours ago. I think you've got double the amount that I've got. I've got about 11.
excuse me, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I've still got a wee bit of a cough, by the way, so if I need to mute up, that's what's happening. But yeah, should we kick off with favourites then?
Yeah, just a couple more comments. So Golden says, love the backs, like the backs. Adam says, it's a deck that doesn't get nearly enough love as it should on TowerTube. It's not fluffy or particularly trendy enough to be mainstream. I think back in the day, it got a lot of exposure. But yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we do Throwback, as we've said previously on our lives. It's to give love to those decks that perhaps kind of get put on a shelf. This one right to the back of the shelf. That's why I couldn't find it. But get put on a shelf because new decks are coming out all the time, and the hot new thing is the one that everybody's seeing until the next hot new thing. And that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? With decks and different publishers and indie creators. So yeah, and that's why we like doing Throwback, because we like to reconnect. Chris has been working with it all week. So have I since I found it. Actually, it's probably about 2 weeks, and then getting to connect with the deck again so that we can talk about it, having used it, which again is something different to just doing walkthroughs. So,
Yep. Cool. Okay,
so
we'll
do you
kick
want to
off.
start?
Yeah. So my first favourite that I've got is the High Priestess. So I'm trying to do this in a way where you can see it okay. There we
Yeah, I can hold it
go.
up as
Actually works
well.
out quite well, doesn't it? That portrait,
Yeah,
that annoying portrait mode.
it frames it nicely.
Yeah. Um, So this is the creator herself. We see
Eleanor.
her sitting uh, using tarot cards, and I think it's actually the Rider-Waite Smith that she's
RWS.
reading with
Yeah,
in the picture. Yeah.
it is.
Um, but yeah, I mean it's just a really nice high priestess, and I like that we see the creator herself in it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to mention no names, but there was another tarot creator once who put themselves in a deck, and there was a bit of controversy about that. A few people saying it was egotistical. I don't share that view. And I think, if you are a creator, why not depict yourself? We always use phrases, don't we? Like, I like to see myself in the tarot, or my significator card is. And I've been depicted in someone's deck as the hermit, which I found really flattering. A little bit embarrassed, but really flattered by it. Um, so I don't have an issue with it at all, and I thought, well, that says a lot about the creator. We're getting a bit of insight into her as well, and I was pleased that she's reading with an RWS deck because it shows to me that's her favourite system, really.
Yeah. Does it? Does it indeed?
um,
um,
I I'd actually got the High Priestess as well.
oh,
For the same reason. I just thought it was really nice. Again, because it's a new era, I like the fact that she's in this yoga position. I forget what they call that. Is it the lotus or something like that? But in that nice, comfortable position at home. And yeah, I love the fact that she's reading the cards. The cards are facing us as well, so you can really see like the Two of Swords there, the Two of Pentacles, etc. In fact, they're all twos, aren't they? The two either side, because I suppose it's linking the two to the High Priestess being card number two. So that's what's in the middle. That's the moon in the middle, though, isn't it?
yeah.
Ah, that's
She's
quite
associated to the moon, though.
yeah, yeah. That's really that's because that you've got the triple moon at the top. So the moon card is in the middle, and then the others are the twos from the RWS for each of the minor suits. I've only just picked up
Yeah,
on that.
quite clever.
I knew it was RWS cards, but that's cool. But
Yeah.
I'd also got one before High Priestess,
Oh.
so I'm gonna end up going through mine really quick, which is fine.
That's fine.
That's just
On
the
you
way it
go.
goes. Mine's the Fool. I love this Fool card. I think it is so cool. The Fool. Here we've got a newborn. But I like the fact that we've got these dangerous animals around the outside. And reading in the book, she talks about how when we're newborn and we come into the world, we come like with a complete blank page. We can basically be anything that we want to be, but the animals around it signify the dangers that we all face going through life. And actually, we're really vulnerable, like the Fool. Um, but it gives you this whole sort of cyclical sense of
Yeah.
life and death and rebirth. And I just thought it was depicted really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Crow Quill Tarot just said something interesting. So they said, like the Dalai Lama as the Hierophant, Lincoln as the Emperor, and the elderly lovers. Then she says, I do wish they were standard size because I like to mix decks for readings. That's
Ah,
interesting. I hadn't actually thought of that, but some people do like to just shuffle decks up together. And if the cards are different sizes, which let's be honest, these days they are, the cards they come in all sorts of sizes now. But that would be a real kind of that'd be quite off-putting to someone who really likes to use their decks in that way.
yeah, yeah. I suppose, I bet, Susan, do you like the Alamantaro then? The Alamantaro or Green Menagerie do that, don't they? Where there's all kind of mix and match of
All different.
different decks together. What have you got next?
So I'm the Empress next. The Empress card. I think it's just really wholesome, and a really beautiful image. There's not really any great reason behind it. It just warms my heart a wee bit, which is what the Empress should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a feeling that you might have a card in between my next card, so I'll let you go next.
Well, I've actually got two together, but you probably guessed I'd have the Hierophant card
I
and
did.
the Dalai Lama. Controversial now, of course, because the Dalai Lama's gone through some controversy in the last year. But I've mentioned so many times I've actually met the Dalai Lama, and I don't mean been to see him. I actually met him and shook hands with him and spoken to him. And it was a day that I will never ever forget. And what struck me about him was just his sense of humor. It was almost when he was speaking to us like he was um, just just it was almost like watching a comedy act. He was joking about everything, and he had everybody in stitches. He was just such a simple person, lives very humble life. I think he's got three belongings. But what I like about this in particular as well is that the Hierophant is very often seen as that sort of rigid dogma, uh, whereas the Dalai Lama is very simple living. He doesn't say he's a Buddhist. He says my religion is love and my religion is peace, and that's it. It doesn't matter. And what I like is the fact that all of the world religions or the major world religions are are represented on this, which shows that there isn't a single narrow path. It represents the opposite of a single path. That there's the majority of the world religions at their core, or at least should, promote peace, and they should promote love, and give a sort of moral compass. Sadly, that's been abused over time and left to man. Then we know they can be corrupted. But for a Hierophant card, I love the fact that it isn't just one kind of religion being depicted. So I just thought that was quite an important card to have in there. Patrice is
Yeah.
here. Hello, Patrice.
Yeah, hey Patrice, how you doing? Suzanne Woods is here as well. Hi Suzanne.
Oh, hi, Suzanne.
Care Bear says, as a mother, the full card evokes a lot of emotion for me. As I'm typing, you pulled out the full. Let's see. Yeah, that's us. My next one is the Lovers.
Yeah, same.
So, for the reasons that Crow Quill Tarot has already raised, we do see an older couple, which you don't see very often in lovers cards. I feel as though the lovers cards these days is going down quite a it can be quite hypersexualized, which don't get me wrong, the lovers can be about that. It can be about sex and love and all that kind of thing. I'm not dissing that, but that's not all it is. What I really like as well, though, right?
The tree.
If you look in the tree behind,
Hmm.
we see all these kind of like initials, and we
Hmm.
see like the kind of the K and S, the E and the G. But then we see some where it's just one letter on its own, and something makes me wonder: is that like representing people who perhaps don't feel that their life's destiny is to be paired up with this other half? Is that representing people who they fulfill their destiny just being themselves? Like I'm probably not putting it in the best terms, but it's just that in its own way it represents a whole different spectrum of people, and I quite like that about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of mine as well. I think it's a beautiful card, similar to, it gives me the same feelings as Poppy Palin's Lover's card in Everyday Enchantment. You see that lifetime, really, a shared lifetime with somebody. Um, and I love that. And I think this is representing like a family tree. So my understanding is, this lifetime together has obviously created other um, offshoots, children,
Yeah.
grandchildren. So because and I could be wrong, but because all of the double initials are the lower ones, I kind of saw it as a family tree where, you know, uh, M and W has created C and M, like the couple
Got you.
coming together as the grandchildren. E and G, M, and K and S is D. I don't know. It just felt like um, their love and their lifetime of being together under this tree. Um, because we're here because of our ancestors, our grandparents, and if ever you do like your genealogy and you go back, that tree gets wider and wider, doesn't it? The further back you
Mm.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Right, my next card skips a few, and I've got a feeling that you're going to have maybe one or two in between, so I'll let you go next and see how we get on.
So my next one is the Hermit.
Oh, I thought it might
Um,
be.
yeah, I mean it's the card I look out for, but this Hermit, just when I first saw it, and I think I spoke about it at the time when I did my initial walkthrough. Um, just I don't know, I get such kind of, whew, um, we see all of this the symbology that we see with the Hermit, but it's in this completely modern world. It's this elderly gentleman walking through a city, if you like, in the modern era. But the staff is still there, but it's a walking stick to aid him. The lantern is still there, but it's a street light behind him. And then the graffiti on this brick wall. Well, I say graffiti. It's a beautiful uh, uh, mural, but we've got these mountain ranges, and it's just a snapshot in time of this very uh, elderly, and therefore I always think when elderly people are represented in tarot, it's to signify the wisdom and everything else. But I love that she doesn't miss out any of the symbols that we see in the Hermit card. They're there, but it's in this very modern take.
Yeah, it's a nice card. Um, my next one is the Wheel of Fortune, and I like this because I think it's a really cool looking image. We really get chance. We get like kind of a chaos theory. We get the idea of there's some things we're just not in control of. And that for me is what the Wheel of Fortune is all about. It's the goddess Fortuna. It's the things in life that you know there's just no rhyme, reason, or meaning behind it. It just is because it is. We kind of I think we try and create this illusion that we have that everything's we've got control over everything, or there's cause and effect behind absolutely everything in the world, and I just don't think that's the case. I think that we try and deny the some of the control we have. Some of the things that happen, we try and say that you know that, oh, that's not my fault, that's not me, that's not to do with me, when really it is. But I think there are some things in the world that we have no control over, and this card depicts that really nicely. I feel as though I'm being really preachy, and I'm really not meaning to. I didn't set out to do that at all. I guess it's just it's just how I feel about that card.
Yeah, I just don't want to miss people's comment. I know we're jumping back, but there's quite some cool comments coming through. Care Bear said
Mhm.
the single initial interesting point. Does it represent the one who wasn't chosen? The Lover's card, yes. The card makes me feel a Poppy Palin too. Love that deck. And then Susan said, yes, Simon. Not all ancestors were couples of produced children. or produce children, which is absolutely right. And Adam says it's like the Lovers Legacy card branching out on wider scope meanings than the usual Lovers card. Essentially, this card can be about all relationships we have and their longevity. I think that's a really and then there's a question there: a double helix DNA elemental
Yeah,
cartomancy.
we see that on the Wheel of Fortune card as well.
Yeah, and you're not coming across preachy.
I feel as though I am. I'm listening to myself and I'm like, right, you get off your soapbox. Sorry, folks. I'll try and lighten up a wee bit. It's not intentional. Cheryl said as well, being someone who will buy a deck for one card, this Lovers card is doing it for me.
Do you not have it, Cheryl? You don't have elemental cartomancy. You don't have... Do you have elemental cartomancy? I'm surprised, Cheryl. I thought, yeah, this would have been one that would you would have had. Okay, so where are you up to? What's your next? Because
mine's is the next one. Mine's is strength. So, in fact, I've got quite a few in succession here. So, I'll keep going and join me when you've got one that's the same. So, strength. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful image. I think it's lovely. Again, really wholesome, really heartwarming, really powerful as well. Though it really depicts that powerful, Leo strength energy that we get from this card. Yeah, nothing bad to say about it. The Hanged Man. Not just because he's a very handsome man, but that's definitely part of the reason that I like it. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful image. I think it's illustrated really well. If I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm a real sucker for when water's depicted really well on a card, and I think it is here. So I think that's beautiful.
I bet you turned it the other way around as well, didn't you?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I bet you did.
The death cards. I'm there with the death cards as well. Do you not like it?
I'm just so over schools for death cards. Come on.
Why?
Oh, because I don't know. I perhaps shouldn't say it, but I think sometimes it's a bit of an easy option. Oh, the death card, I'll put a skull there. Or a skull with a flower to show life after death. Do you know what I mean? I just think, I don't know. I'm over schools. And they get so much hate mail.
So we have the skull, and for me, the skull or the skeleton, however it's depicted, there's parts of the body that die and decay. I suppose all of the body really does die and decay, but the skeleton represents that lasting part of us that's there for long, long after we're gone. It's the durable part of us, and the purely represents that there are parts of life that continue on, even after death. So death is not the end. We have the flowers as well, memento mori. So flowers, because they have such short lives, they are what we call a memento mori. They're a reminder that life is short and that we need to kind of a live for the moment type thing. So I think it's a stunning image. I love it, skull and all. And I'm still going. I'm temperance is next, and then I skip a few.
That's where I'm at. I'm at temperance as well.
Right. Okay. Again, maybe it's just because he's a very handsome man, but also for the same reason as with the Hanged Man card. I love how the water's depicted here. I love his reflection in the water, and I just love how simple the card is. Like you've got like a mostly white background. The water's mostly white, and then he's really the main thing in that water, and it's all he's doing is picking up the water and letting it fall through his hands. It's so simple, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And also in terms of depicting cultures and religions and belief systems, this is a Hindu bathing ritual, um, which is practiced by, thousands, if not millions, of Hindus around the world. But that's they always do an offering of water to the sun. So I really like that the element of the temperance card of that sort of marriage between fire and water there, which is happening in a ritual, a bathing ritual.
That's really cool. I didn't actually know that about the card.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, never read the entry for it. Amazing. My next one is the moon. Have you got any in between?
Uh, no, but then there's two kind of controversial cards in between, in there.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
but we'll
I've
come
not
to that at the
deliberately
end.
not picked them because they're controversial. By the way, they're of all the cards, they're just not my favourites in the deck.
Yeah,
Let's see. So the moon is my next one. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put the moon and the sun kind of together. So this is the moon, and then we have the sun. So they go quite nicely together, I think. Uh, we have the moon and the sun shown at the top in the sky, and then the flowers depicted underneath. Really simple, but done really well.
yeah. When I said that I didn't have one in between, that's because I just saw I have the star card.
Oh, okay.
Um, I love that. I mean, I love lighthouses anyway, but for me, it's that when we think of the star card, it's that beacon of hope, isn't it? And I think representing that with an image, I'm trying to get it so there's not that glare. I might have to do it a little bit like that. But that image of a lighthouse that guides us safely back to a safe shore, really. We
Yep.
often talk about it being like a light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, don't we, when we're talking about that? But that's represented really well with a lighthouse.
Yeah.
And then I've got one more major.
I think we'll both have the same one here. This is actually probably, and someone else has said it, Crow Quill Tarot. I think this might be
Three,
one of my favourite cards in the
two,
deck.
one. Let's hold it up at the same time. Despite the Hannibal Lecter kind of vibe it gives off, Anthony Hopkins kind of.
I think I would say Hannibal Lecter, but because it looks a lot like the other actor that plays him, Hans somebody, whatever his name is, the one that plays him in the series.
Oh, I've not seen the series. That's
Really? Like
interesting
I
then
would.
that they chose actors that kind of depict what Hannibal Lecter looks like. I see that and I see Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter.
Really?
Yeah, do
Oh,
you not?
I need to show you a picture of the other guy that plays him now.
Oh
Um,
wow, it's the eyes for
because
me.
it's like he spit an image. Like I would say that she may well have based that image on him.
Really, I've never seen it. What I don't
Honestly,
even know what it's on.
honestly, it's this guy. Let me see if I can get a proper full page. Right, you're going to see my OBS for a wee second here. 2 seconds.
While you're trying to find that, then I'll just say why I like it. So for me, it's just about us being. Do we see ourselves as broken? And if we do, is that caused by external factors? Because this is just something external. The mirror is something external to ourselves, even though we're seeing ourselves reflected back in it. And that whole concept of how we are our own worst judge, and the judgment card is about um, are we looking at ourselves objectionally, and how do we perceive ourselves? Do we perceive ourselves as broken? Let me get it bigger because I can't make out on that. Oh yeah, yeah, I can see that. I'm putting the image next to kind of. I mean, he's younger in the Hannibal, isn't he? Have you gone? Have I lost you?
Sorry, I muted to cough and then
All
forgot.
right.
Yeah, so do you see what I mean? Like it's funny
Yeah,
that you think he looks like Anthony Hopkins because
I
I
do.
think he's
Yeah,
an image of him.
but he has got those eyes. But this guy's older, like Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal.
Yeah, funny.
I would have sneezed.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you, my
Thank you.
child. Sorry.
Uh, there's a crack
Right,
in
will we catch?
everything. That's how the light gets in. Leonard Cohen. Oh, Leonard Cohen. Have you ever heard Leonard Cohen, Chris?
I know the name, but I don't really know much about him, to be honest with you.
If you've got something like Spotify, listen to Leonard Cohen Repent. Phenomenal song.
Okay.
Just thought I'd throw that in. Spitting image of which one? Which one, Bear? Rutger Hauer. Looks like Rutger Hauer when he was young in the judgment card. Wow.
Right.
So why do you like the card then?
I think for the same reasons that you've said. I think it's very different. It forces me to see judgment in a different way because I see the judgment card as being about unplugging yourself from the matrix. It's you gain a whole new perspective on things. It's like you get to a point where you realize that your senses have been dulled all your life, and now you're seeing it. You're seeing everything as you're supposed to, and we do that by drawing a line under past experiences, taking forward all the stuff that we can learn from them, but moving on from them and moving on from that shame and all of that kind of that shit that comes with just life experience. Um, so you can kind of experience that happiness that we see in the sun, but for me, the sun has a bit of you're kind of just ignoring all the shitty stuff that's going on type vibe to it. Whereas with judgment, you're confronting all of that and you're dealing with it all. So this kind of depicts that drawing a line in the sand. This depicts that. That's a very small and simple phrase that represents so much fucking work. Sorry, swearing on both our channels, but it represents so much and it really oversimplifies the whole process. But I think this image depicts it really, really well.
Yeah. Okay, so I've only got, I think, 3
Right.
minors that
Okay.
just stand out because a lot of them, like I said, are animal based. Most, not all. And then in terms of the courts, I love all the courts. I think they're done fantastically, but I'll talk about one in particular.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with fire?
Sure. Okay. So for I've got a few favourite fire ones actually. So the first one that I've got here is domination.
Yeah, same.
The arm wrestling one. I think it's a beautiful card. I think it's done really, really well. Yeah, it's just powerful. It's a powerful image.
Yeah, I like it because I don't know if you can tell as much, particularly with a sepia deck, but there's 2 different skin tones as well. And with the word domination, it's almost like that sort of who will dominate the other. and we've seen that
Right.
a lot around the world, haven't we? Where people come into other people's lands and they dominate. The lightning in the background is just that sort of danger about supremacy, really. So it's quite a powerful message, really. It's not when you see the thunderclouds behind and the lightning, whilst this kind of battle for domination is taking place. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's quite impactful.
it is. Hi, Robbie. My friend Robbie's popped in to say hello.
Hi, Robbie.
Um,
Hope-
my next favourite fire is Bravery, the Seven of Fire. Um, my dad works in the emergency services. My dad's a paramedic. Have you got it as well?
I was just showing it.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, this card kind of has a bit of a special place in my heart, I guess. Yeah, I think it's just a really powerful depiction of the concept of bravery and the concept of putting other people before yourself. Yeah, I think it's really
And
nice.
with it sort of being with it being the fire element as well, just the scene of just the two of them and nothing in the background, but the whole
Mm,
sort of blaze uh, that it puts them centrally in focus, doesn't it?
yeah. Yep. Um, Now I think this might be the only card that's potentially a wee bit disturbing or a wee bit triggering that I've got in the deck. Sorry, that I've got in my favourites pile. And it's the Ten of Fire, the Oppression card. Um, so we see, I think this is a leopard, isn't it?
Mm.
And we see it being caged up in a zoo. Um, so we see this powerful beast, this large cat, and it's behind bars. It's So, like, this is what I mean when I say, like, I think this depicts the concept of oppression extremely well. Does it do it in a way that's potentially triggering to me that, depending on how I'm feeling on that day, could completely hit me the wrong way, could maybe upset me, could maybe anger me? Yeah, it absolutely does. But I feel as though that's not necessarily a bad thing for me anyway.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think this is a really cool card.
Cool.
Uh, Have you got any more fire cards?
I've got the Father of Fire. I think this
Okay.
is just incredibly beautiful and powerful, and the artistry, that's gone in. I think anybody that can depict like a face that, for me here just represents so much that sort of insight, knowledge, and wisdom. And but also, I always look for when we get close up, kind of head and shoulders. I always look at the eyes and how the eyes are depicted, and there's an intensity there, but there's a the body may be decaying and getting old, but the eyes are just so full of clarity and life. I just think it's such a incredible card, amazing image.
Amazing. So I kind of what you said, Simon. I think all of the courts are really amazing in this deck. So my choices were to put all of them in, my favourites,
Yeah,
or none of them. And I've gone with none of them, I think. I don't think I've got any of the
yeah.
courts.
I I
So
just wrote down here. Love all the courts. They are
mm,
family units. They do represent a culture from around the world. Um, and courts often get bad press. People are probably the tarot is split up really into threes, isn't it? Even though the courts are part of an elemental suit, we tend to think of majors, minors, and courts are sometimes the ones that people. And I think the nature of how outdated a court can be, a royal court, this is done so well. Similarly to the Handel Tarot, you know how that groups the courts into cultural families, if you like. And that's what I love about the Handel Tarot as well. So yeah, it's done really well.
Yeah. Golden is saying, please show a few. I tell you
Oh,
what, Golden, after
okay.
we've shown our favourites, I'll look out the courts and I'll do a very quick flip through of all of them, as long as you're okay with that, Simon.
Yeah.
If we've got time. That way you can kind of get a quick glimpse of them all.
Well, I've only other than all the courts, I've only got one favourite left.
Okay. What suit is your favourite from?
Earth.
Right. Well, I've got the Earth suit as last, so will I fire through air and
Yeah. Fire through
water?
air.
As it very much were. Okay, so my next is Deception, and it's a cuckoo, isn't it? Is that right? Was it the cuckoo that did that?
No.
That like basically that infiltrated the nest of another bird and um pretended to be that type of bird so as that the mother would feed it.
I'll have a look.
I think it is anyway. I think it was a cuckoo. I need to look it up now because it's going to annoy me.
Yeah, I've just got it. So about this card, it says, doesn't it? Cuckoos do not build their own nests. Instead, the female seeks out the nest of a particular bird species and lays her eggs there. Usually, the cuckoo chick hatches before its step siblings, and the unwitting parent birds are tricked into feeding it instead of their own chicks.
Yeah.
Well identified.
Yeah, so it's quite a powerful image. In terms of water, I've got the three of water. I just love these three waterfalls. It reminds me of the Mary L tarot, the three waterfalls in the Mary L. I think it's done really well. Stunning image. And what a way to depict abundance. And then I'm on to the Earth suit, Simon. So I've just got three left. It's just me. So yeah, is it quite early on your favourite?
Yeah, shall I just say it?
Yeah, on you go.
So it's stability, card
Okay.
4. I love this image. I guess it's multi-layered, really. So these are ancient fig trees, but I love that there's so many places. There's a tree like this, a huge tree like this in Avebury, where all the roots are, on top of the ground like this, and it always fascinates me to see it. But these are 4 ancient fig trees together that are intertwined, but at the same time really grounded. And 4 for me, not just in this suit, but in every, the in numerology, 4 is about stability. But I love the fact that whilst they're grounded, they're still connected and intertwined, like all of life, all of nature. It's beautiful. There's the foundation, there's the roots, but there's also this interconnectedness.
Yep. So I have got a tree card, but it's not the same one as yours. I've got the 2. Sorry. The 2 of Earth, which is change. And I think trees are a powerful symbol of change. I think this is a really well depicted tree. The art's beautiful. And on one side we see the tree, in full abundance, and the other side we see it in the winter when it's kind of leaves have died off. So yeah, really cool, really powerful image. I've also got the 3 which is the work cards. We see worker bees. I think worker bees are a really powerful depiction of the concept of working hard. I actually tend to use that expression, the worker bees, to describe the knights of the court, because I see the knights as being about action and doing the work of the suit. So yeah, I think this is really cool. And then my final one is the 8 of Earth, which is circumspection, which every time I see the word, I need to look up the meaning, but it means being overly cautious, taking more care than perhaps what is needed, which is quite different from what I usually see the 8 of Earth as being. But also, I just love the image. I think this herd of elephants is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I love
yeah,
elephants.
there's a painting that I want to do of an elephant. So there is. I've seen a tutorial for it online.
So
Anyway,
shall
I
we talk
digress.
about our least favorite cards before we wrap up? Did you get some for that?
I actually didn't know. I didn't put together. I thought I had so many favorite cards. I suppose there's not really any that I particularly don't like. I don't think so. I'll let
Okay.
you.
Well, I've got a few, not a lot, probably about 4 or 5. But again, this is the point where we said at the beginning, some cards could be quite triggering and unpleasant, but that's not just the reason, because there's some that aren't. But we mentioned death. I just thought, oh, come on, but that's just my view. The skull and the flower. It's been done so many times. The devil card, I find, is quite a challenging card. Obviously, there's no kind of central devil figure here. It's what we've created. So we do see things like the dollar sign, money, corruption, power. We've got the swastika there for one of the world's most atrocious acts. But then it's also got like the symbol for Islam, and I just think to pick out kind of one religion. But I probably get the reason why. And then there's all these kind of dead bodies, and I find that quite a challenging card. Obviously, the tower. Now, this is a shame because this card is in 2 halves. So the first part is the Berlin Wall, which I'm old enough to remember the Berlin Wall coming down. Sadly, my lasting impression there is David Hasselhoff in a jacket that's got flashy lights on it, singing a really cheesy song in front of it. But by the by, the Berlin Wall coming down was a great thing. But then we've also got the towers, the 9/11 World the Trade Center towers. And then I've got in air, where are we? That's water. I don't think it's got any in water. No, air. There's 2 in air that I struggle with. Okay, so 3 of air. I like the fact that we've got the tattoo, but we've also got quite a confronting image there. And 9 of air. That is quite an awful image. The key word is cruelty, and yeah, it is cruel. But it's just the image itself with seeing all the insides of the animal, and then this one I find quite upsetting. Really, is the torment card in 5 of Pentacles, and 5 of Earth, which is 5 of Pentacles, is, as you know, it's quite an important card for me. But I'm just going to show it quickly. But there is an animal here that's in torment, and yeah. And I think that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, if I was to use this deck reading for others, I wouldn't, because I just think, you know, some of those cards could be quite upsetting. So, but they're my least favorite. So death, the devil, the tower, and then 3 and 9 of air and 5 of earth.
Okay, I get where you're like. Some of them are quite. Some of the depictions can be quite gratuitous. Do you know what I mean? And they're like how hard hitting they are. Like I get you know, the devil is in particular made me think that, like with the picture of the child there. Like you know, I get depicting the dollar sign and I get depicting the swastika. But did there really need to be that child lying there? I don't know. It's like I say, I don't know whether sometimes the deck crosses the line into, like, you know, gratuitous is the word that I would use. Like being a bit overly hard hitting.
Yeah. I think there's a way to get the message across. And I get that they wanted you to be challenged by the image, but I think there's ways that it's been done in other decks which is less disturbing.
Yeah. I suppose at the end of the day, what's gratuitous for one person it will be different. You know, what's triggering for one person will be different than what's triggering for another, and what goes too far for one person won't for someone else. So I suppose it all comes down to that, doesn't it? Will I do a quick flip through the courts here? Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Yeah, please do. Let me put you and begin you.
Brilliant.
And
okay, so we've got fire first of all. So these are all showing individuals of African descent.
Yeah.
And the idea is fire is the first spark, it's the spark of life. And these depict Africa because that was where, you know, that's where the oldest ancestors were aware of, you know, the first Homo sapiens that we know of, that's where they come from. In the air court, or the air family, we see people of Eastern nationality. In water, it's Polynesian. These are people that have kind of travelled the Pacific, that have mastered the element of water. And then we have the earth suit. So very quick flip through of all the courts.
Yeah, and they're done so well, so expressive.
Yeah.
You know, really, really good. And as an artist, very, very talented in showing features and expressions. So brilliant. Yes, the courts are lovely, and thank you for showing it. And then Jumping Spider says, there are some really beautiful cards in this deck. I have to say, I'm not really a fan of contemporary decks. This one would not work for me reading for myself or others. Yeah,
which is fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of tarot and having so many options, isn't it? That there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, we resonate with you know, on all different levels, really, of what's important to us, what connects us to particular artwork. So next month.
Next month, are we doing Starman Tarot?
Starman. What version of Starman have you got?
This one.
Right. Okay. That's good though.
You've
So
got the big fancy one, haven't you?
Yeah, I just thought at the time that was back in 2018 as well. I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, and I knew the cards were busy, so I wanted larger cards. What are you laughing at?
I'd just in for a penny, in for a pound. Just, I don't know, it just made me chuckle. Are your cards larger than even this? Because these cards are huge.
Oh, maybe they're the same size then. Maybe it was the other bits you get with it.
Yeah. Hang on.
They are
Here's a
large.
preview, folks. A preview for next month, but that doesn't even look that bad, but they are pretty big I can just about riffle shuffle them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
So that
tangent.
will be. I was thinking with February and it being 4 weeks that would be on the same day, but it's a leap year, so it pushes us
Is
back a week. Pushes us back to Thursday the 7th. That's the first Thursday of the month.
oh
So
wow, is it?
yeah, because if it was 28 days in this month, it would have been the first again, the 1st of March, but it
Oh
doesn't
well,
because of the
okay.
leap year. So Thursday the 7th is when we'll be doing the Starman Tarot, and then we need to have a think of some other decks because we'll have
I
exhausted
know.
our list again, won't we?
I know. We'll need to have a wee conflab and find out what decks that we've both got that are older than 3 years old.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be loads. In fact, one's just sprung to mind, so we'll see.
Oh, cool. You'll have to glide me afterwards and tell me.
I'll just tell you once we stop the live.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You planning on running away and just leave me hanging?
Yeah, see you later. No, but thanks to everybody that's been here. Thanks for joining in. You've been really participative tonight. It's been great to get your views as well and find out what you think of the cards of the deck that we've shown tonight. Anything you've got coming up, Chris?
No, I don't think so. I actually I was in one of Kim from Abundant Life Tarot that was in at the start. I was in one of her lives. I think it was last Thursday actually. And I've said that me and Kim are going to try and go live together and do some readings together, which I'm really, really excited for. I don't know when we'll do it, but yeah, that'll be brilliant. Because I was and I said to her in the chat, I says like, I'll feel like I've got a celebrity on with me because I've been watching Kim since I said the Tarot olden days, but like since way before I had a channel,
Yeah,
I've
same,
watched Kim's channel,
same.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
Kim's
that'll
great. I
be
love Kim.
yeah, she's such a lovely person, so she is, and really good fun. So
She did.
yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
She did a channel takeover once on my channel. Everybody tuned in for a cup of catch up, expecting me to be there, and it was Kim. Did a whole sort of channel takeover.
I remember that. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'll be on Saturday for Cuppa and catch up on my channel. So hopefully see you there. But yeah, thanks for being here, everyone. Take care.
See you later, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.